United States Congress gets its 60 days to review the deal. That begins today. But what we're focusing on is the subject that people just can't seem to get enough of: Donald Trump and the comments about Senator John McCain that continue to dominate the headlines.
He's a war hero. 5.5 years. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
In a moment, we'll talk to someone who was also captured and tortured in Vietnam alongside Senator McCain. Just this morning, Donald Trump was given the chance to apologize, but instead, he doubled down.
I do also respect greatly people that aren't captured. Nobody talks about them. We talk about John McCain, and I think it's great, and he is a very brave man and all of that. But we don't talk about the people that weren't captured, and that's what I was trying to refer to, and I think I did.
And that was Donald Trump on the Today Show this morning. Also weighing in, Senator John McCain on Morning Joe.
I think he may owe an apology to the families of those who have sacrificed in conflict and those who have undergone the prison experience in serving their country.
Captain Plum is one of those men who served and underwent the prison experience, as Senator McCain put it. He was shot down in May of 1967 on his 75th mission in Vietnam and spent over 2,000 days as a prisoner of war alongside Senator McCain at the Hanoi Hilton. Captain, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Bianna. Nice to be with you.
My first question is, what was your reaction when you heard Donald Trump's comments Saturday?
I've got to be honest with you. I chuckled. It was really rather amusing to me to hear this guy talk about John McCain as not being a hero. To begin with, John never called himself a hero. In fact, the 591 guys that we were with, the prisoners of war from Vietnam, none would ever call himself a hero. And so to hear this draft dodger, saying that we weren't heroes was kind of insignificant to me. It was kind of humorous.
And Donald Trump has since doubled down, as we mentioned on his comments. He did allude to the fact that he was a hero, but on the other hand, he said that Senator McCain shouldn't be applauded for the way he's treating vets today and the status of the VA as a whole. What are your thoughts on that?
Bianna, I have three options for my health care. I can go to the civilian world. I'm a retired military officer. I can go to the Navy base, and I choose to go to the VA. Certainly, there are a lot of problems with the VA. It's a big, big organization, but it's the most dedicated health professionals I have ever known are with the VA. And so there are a lot of really good things about the VA. John and the other senators and congressmen are trying to make it even better. But I really don't think that Trump should disparage the VA and the healthcare system.
In the meantime, though, Trump continues to talk about the many tens, if not hundreds, of veterans who come to him crying, complaining about how the VA is treating them and that they're not getting any help or are offered any help that they need. Does he speak for your comrades?
Well, certainly doesn't speak for me. I've been very pleased with that healthcare system, and I think probably 90% of all veterans are happy with the VA. When you have people that are in pain, people that are hurting, and they're looking for someone to lash out at, and so you're going to have complaints from any hospital. But I don't think he really represents the majority of the veterans.
And let's go back to the initial comments that Donald Trump made. He sort of alluded to the fact that those who were captured were weaker soldiers, but you were held for over 2,000 days, John McCain for over 5 years. He had an opportunity to leave and yet subjected himself to more torture and beating to stay with his fellow comrades. You've described McCain's as courageous and horrific injuries that he withstood as being a hero, even though he doesn't call himself one. Do you think that makes him a weaker person, the way Donald Trump seems to be alluding?
I don't really think so. I was in the same prison camp when John was shot down just 3 months after I was. He was my flight instructor in Meridian, Mississippi. He taught me to fly jets. So I knew who he was. I went to school with his brother, Joe McCain. I'd served under their father, the Admiral J.S. McCain. So I knew the tradition, and I knew John McCain. He had 7 broken bones when he was shot down. Absolutely the worst injured prisoner of war I ever saw was John Sidney McCain. And the poor guy they were twisting his broken bones to torture the poor man. Well, fast forward 3 years later, he was offered a chance to go home early before the rest of us. And if anybody in that camp had an excuse to go home, he had the excuse because he was terribly torn up. But he didn't. He stayed with us because he was one of the guys. He didn't embarrass his father or the nation by accepting early release. And I really respect him for that, and I'll call him a hero for that.
And we heard Senator McCain this morning take the high road saying that Trump doesn't owe him an apology, but owes people like yourself an apology. Can you tell us about your own experience as a POW for so many Americans who have no idea what that must be like?
Well, it was, I was a Navy fighter pilot, and I flew over enemy territory. It was 5 days before the end of my tour, and I was shot down. I was captured. I was tortured for several days with several techniques that the Vietnamese still deny. I was left on a prison floor just in misery and pain and blood and sweat and tears. We ate primarily 2 bowls of rice a day. That was our mainstay, and maybe a little bit of thin soup once in a while. We continued to be under the threat of torture and beating for the entire time that we were there. It was only the very last few days did they finally get friendly with us.
And in the meantime, Donald Trump spoke briefly about his deferment from the draft. He said that he had an injured leg, though he couldn't remember which leg that was. Did that bother you?
Yes, it does. You know, I think there are several ways to serve your country, and you don't have to fly an airplane or carry a rifle around to serve your country. You can be a Sunday school teacher to serve your country. But I think that anybody that intentionally finds ways, to defer or to deny their commitment is a person that I have a little respect for.
And talking about Donald Trump himself, what are your views on Mr. Trump? Do you think that he's worthy of running for president of the United States? And have your views changed since the comments he made on Saturday?
I have, as I mentioned to you, I worked with him on John McCain's campaign in 2008, and I think Donald Trump has a lot of really good ideas. He is out there speaking for, I think, the average American who really wants a safer, a cleaner, more productive, happier society. And so I think he has a lot of good things to say. Have my thoughts and opinion of him changed since he came out against John McCain? Yes, probably. But on the other hand, I recognize this as just political rhetoric, that they're just sparring back and forth, trying to get the headline in the news, and they're doing it.
But political rhetoric about something that this country views as so precious, and that's our armed service men and women. Right now we have about 10,000, if not more, serving overseas. And if Donald Trump does become their commander-in-chief, how do you think they would feel about the comments that he made, that he likes soldiers more when they're not captured?
Yeah, well, I think it would be disappointing to most men or women in uniform to hear those kind of comments, and I think that most in the military would probably not support Donald Trump. If he is president, obviously he's a commander-in-chief, and we will always do whatever he commands us to do. That's the responsibility of the military is to obey your commander-in-chief. So it would be difficult for me to vote for him, knowing that his views on the military and his deferment during the Vietnam War. But if he's elected president, I'll salute and say, aye, aye, sir.
And last question, you've mentioned several times that you've worked with Donald Trump on Senator McCain's campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about the man that he is, that you met, if you were to describe him in 1 or 2 sentences?
He's a very bright man. He is a very disciplined man. He's a very, very focused man. There's a reason why he's a billionaire, But he makes quick decisions. He makes good decisions, but they're not always popular decisions. So, that's the personality. I don't think I'd ever look to him as my best friend. I don't want him as a wingman when I fly airplanes. But I respect him for who he is and what he's done.
Yeah, you wouldn't want him as your wingman. Some poignant words there, Captain Plum. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time and, of course, for your incredible service.
Thanks, Bianna.
And we want to end with 3 little birds, 3 tweets we got on Donald Trump's comments. Number 1, well, Donald Trump said disparaging words about minorities. The Republicans didn't drop him, but now over his words about John McCain, wow. And number 2, Sarah McClellan says, I am as far left as Senator McCain is right, but I defend him 100% against the Donald Trump. Trump is a